Red.
Hey, welcome to the January 20th meeting of the Appointments Committee. And this is my first time chairing it, so I'm going to be very transparent about asking for help when I need it. First thing is the approval of minutes. And
You received them.
okay.
Right, and it was the last two meeting minutes, which I'm drawing a blank on the date, so probably the last meeting in December, the first meeting in January.
Okay, I haven't actually seen them in my inbox yet, so
Oh, no?
I'm not ready to
Okay, so we can
vote on receiving them.
Okay.
Or approving them. But I can abstain from that if you're both able to.
I'm fine.
So I'm fine with it. So okay, I'll make a motion. Next time I'll write down which ones I send you, but
Okay.
maybe, I mean, you want to know, I can find out. But I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of the last two meetings that were submitted.
Okay. If I abstain,
second
can
it.
I second, or would I have to?
Well, yes, no, you should, yeah.
Which one?
Well,
Abstain.
the motion was to accept,
Yeah.
then you shouldn't second. I'll second, and then you'll
Abstain.
call for the vote.
Okay. I will call for the vote.
Yes,
Yes, so 2-0.
and then you abstain.
Okay.
You have to voice that you abstain, and
I abstain.
you move on. There you go.
Okay, we don't have anyone here from the public except the mayor. Karen, do you have anything outside of our agenda that you wanted to?
No. Just
Okay.
in case you have any questions, I'm just here to answer them.
Okay. My paperwork, I do not have with me. There was an accident from Holyoke to here, and I just didn't have time to get home to
Oh,
pick up my
okay.
paperwork.
Happens.
So I don't have the descriptions of everybody here, but we have 4 appointments that we're considering.
Do you want mine?
Just give her mine to use.
Okay, I have it right
good.
here.
You've got it.
Thank you.
Yep.
So the first person that we have to consider for an appointment is Corey Boyle for the Commission on Disability with a term expiration of December 31st, 2018. So,
Are you asking for comment at this
Yep.
point? Okay.
Mhm.
So Corey works at Riverside Industries, and my daughter also works there, and she speaks very highly of him, and he's very involved with the people that he's servicing there, and I think that he would make a wonderful appointment to that committee, to this committee on disabilities.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I have really nothing more to add than that. I don't know him very well. I know of him.
I like that he already goes to the meetings a lot with Randy, who's actually also up for consideration. But I think particularly when you're looking at the continuity, it's great to have people who are already invested in the committee and then wanting to have a formal role in the committee. So I was really happy to see that too. So is there any further discussion?
Nope. Nothing for me.
So,
Okay.
Make a motion then to accept Corey Boyle to the Commission on Disability. Or should we do both the Commission on Disability then together? Or do you want to do this separately?
I'm fine with doing them both together. I know that they're both members of Riverside, and do you have any personal comment about Randy? Which I know you have.
I don't know particularly if I know Randy, but he also is he employed at Riverside? I thought I read, yeah.
Yep.
You know what? Anybody that's employed by Riverside and they want to step forward on a city a city office or appointment, especially with something in lines of what they're doing for a living, I'm all for.
Me
So,
too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll make that motion then for both Corey Boyle and Randy Buchanan for Commission on Disability expiration 12/31/18.
I second that.
Okay. So you say all those in favor?
Aye.
Well, you say
Yeah,
it.
so say.
All those in favor? favor?
Aye.
Okay. Against? And no
Abstain.
abstentions?
Okay. Motion moved.
Motion moved.
Passed.
Thank you.
That's okay.
Okay, and the third one is Scott Kavanaugh for the CPA committee. Actually, Karen, since you're here, I know that has in parentheses mayoral appointment.
Yep.
And I'm not. Can you explain the difference between that one being a mayoral appointment versus the other ones? Because I figured they were all mayoral appointments.
No,
We had
okay,
one.
so on our list,
Mm-hmm.
under CPA committee, you'll notice, that one's a little different. There's a member from Conservation Commission, and we're gonna change that. It's good, while you're looking at it, Dan Hagan is no longer CPA from Finance Subcommittee. And so Finance Subcommittee, now that councilors have newly reorganized, newly elected, somebody will be put forth from that.
Okay.
Then you can see City Council President, and then City Council President, Historical Commission. So there's one CPA appointment that I get to put forward, and I really enjoyed the way we did the CPA appointments this time, because there was an opening for our City Council President and myself. We decided to take all applications and interview them together, and then and the candidates together, and go from there. So that was actually, we were pretty impressed to get more candidates than we had spots for. And we did also tell them that there's plenty of other openings on other boards and committees.
Okay.
But so this is the appointment that, and we had agreed also on the ones to put forward.
Okay.
So this is the appointment that I had put forward as Scott Kavanaugh, very qualified, and extremely qualified, as our applicants were. And
As I remember, he was part of forming the CPA in Cambridge.
Oh.
It was here, wasn't it?
yes,
Yeah.
I mean, we were very impressed with the candidates and with their backgrounds, their experience, and or their enthusiasm. So it was actually kind of sad that we had to say no to one. We actually had more than the available spots, which we'll keep on hold.
So I have one further question for clarification.
Sure.
Assuming that Scott was recommended to be on the CPA, on this master list, would there be an additional line within parentheses that would say mayor appointment?
Absolutely.
Okay, just wanted to make sure I'm understanding.
The reason we do that and Barb does that, it's for us to keep track. It's
Okay.
just much easier, because we would have without those little parentheses, we would have no idea which one was missing.
Okay.
So it's really a great way to keep track.
Okay. Thanks, I appreciate understanding that a little bit more. Okay, so is there any further discussion about Scott Kavanaugh as a CPA committee appointee?
No, but for the record, I have to say that one of the candidates interviewed complimented the city on its website. How easily they were able to
Yes.
find things. So just,
Yes, she said it was very easy to navigate, right? And found all the information about the CPA. Right.
But other than that,
Forgot
it's-
about that, too.
So I will make a motion then to accept Scott Kavanaugh to the CPA committee as a mayoral appointment, term ending 12/31/17.
Okay, so I will call to the vote. Scott
There's not
Kavanaugh.
a second yet.
Oh,
Second.
I'll get there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm going to call to the vote the consideration of the following mayoral appointment. Scott Kavanaugh for the CPA committee, which is a mayoral appointment with a term expiration of December 31st, 2017.
Question. Does he take the place of Greg Rowland? Karen? Or
Now I'm going to look at
is it
this.
on there?
Mine's not on there.
Yeah, mine's- yeah.
Yours not on there?
Who was it? Do you remember? Was it Ed Sparko?
Yes, it was.
It was Ed.
Wait. Or was it Spark?
No, Ed had gone.
I would need the older one. This is the updated sheet, so he was
Okay.
not on here, but an older one would tell me who was.
I think Ed had stepped down a while
Ed-
ago, did he not?
No, Ed stepped down during this term. You know, when we sent out, we were discussing earlier that every board or committee member is notified in October if their term is expiring. So it's somebody that no longer wanted to be on there, which happened to fall under my category for CPA.
Okay.
And I know Ed Sparko was one person that no longer wanted to be on, but I'm not positive if that's what he fell under. Looking at an old list would tell us. Or I could give Barbara a call. She could look it up.
Okay.
Okay. Did you have any further discussion about Scott?
No, just second everything the mayor said, but I thought he was a very strong candidate.
Okay.
So there was a motion and a second.
Okay, so call to a vote the consideration of Scott Kavanaugh to the CPA committee, which is a mayoral appointment for term expiration of December 31st, 2017.
Second.
Oh, no, there was already.
Oh, okay. Aye.
Okay. And I.
Aye
So-
as well. Okay, 3-0.
3-0. And the last appointment that we have for consideration today is for Dan Carey to be part of the school building committee with a term expiration of December 31st, 2018. And I know Dan would be replacing Dan Hagan's role as the finance chair
Wait,
This
Dan
is a
applied for
different
that?
committee though.
on the school building committee. I thought Dan Hagan had to be there.
Oh,
because
okay.
He doesn't have to. I just thought it would be really nice to have council, representative from the city council. It's not required by MSBA, but I just thought it was
Okay.
a really good, spot.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, I think Dan, having just come off of serving on the school committee, is really well positioned to be a great member of the school building committee. So is there any further discussion about Dan Carey?
Hope he finds time for all this.
Yeah, really, that was cool.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. As the chair, can I put forth the motion to accept it? Okay, I'll go ahead and put forth a motion to accept Dan Carey to the position of being on the school building committee for a term expiration of December 31st, 2018. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any noes or abstentions? No. Okay, it passes with 3-0. And this is before the new year that we put in a request to consider the application form. I printed out an extra copy of it for everybody to have. I know this is available as a link on the webpage. If someone was to come into the City Hall, is this available in Barb's? I've never really noticed where the sheets are available.
They're forms. They could ask one of the offices. Like I have just a form drawer, and they're there. But as you just noted, they're on the website also.
Okay.
So we keep forms just a bit. I just have a form drawer, and somebody wanted them, they'll pop in and ask.
Okay. One of the things that I would really love to have more detail about, and that I think would be a great thing to consider on our application form, is first how someone heard about the position, so that we're utilizing every resource we can to advertise for the boards and committees. But I also wanted to open up a discussion about whether or not we should be collecting any demographic data on candidates. Demographic data meaning whether or not they're working in addition to this. I just don't know if the majority of the people who are volunteering, if they're in the middle of their career, if they're retired, if they're still. And I would find it interesting to be able to say whether or not at what stage people are more likely to want to be part of it.
I would probably put optional after those questions if you ask if people are working or not.
Yeah, because
And how old
I
they
think it'd
are
be
or
kind of
whatever.
cumbersome as to who's going to collect that data,
That's a good point.
sort it out,
Yeah.
and
Who's looking at the data?
look at it, and and what information you're going to glean from it. I mean,
or we could do it for a period of time. The committee could always look at it. Say, last 6 months, it looks like most of these people are, whatever.
so for any time that I think that you want to ask for data, what would be the outcome of looking at that data? What is it that you're looking at that you?
Well, I was just thinking for some of these, for example, the Conservation Commission. Is it more likely that people in certain professions are more likely to say, this would be a really great thing for me to be a part of because it would beef up my resume? And if that's the case, how would we do the outreach to that particular group of people that this is coming up, and to get the best qualified people to be able to advertise to that? Just as one example.
Okay, and we could most of the time, most of the people that apply for these committees are people that have either a vested interest or already in the field, and they just want to add their expertise to the city.
Right.
I know that just looking at the agricultural committee, Jerry Rauscher, Rauscher Farms, horse farms. He's on agriculture. Frantovich, I don't know who that particular person is, but Russell Brain, Park Hill Road. I'm just going to say, just out of a generalized guess, that person is most likely involved in agriculture up on Park Hill Road in that area.
Yeah, he owns a farm out.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's in the orchard.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, I think we can ask it, and of course, then the just 2 appointments that we just did. The 2 individuals that just went on the Commission Disability both work with people with disabilities and people with that, so again, that's part of what they do, and obviously they love it, and so they just want to make a difference in our own community. So,
Well, I see your point though, because if we're finding that a lot of people from Riverside Industries or who work in that field want to be in that commission, then let's send out a flyer to Riverside Industries and ServiceNet or whoever it might be, or if we find that, I mean, again, it takes a little work in looking at, but it is probably a way to find out how are you finding out and where did you come from. And some of these things probably have there's probably no consistency. Yeah,
But there are some other things that just from my perspective, I find it really interesting. So, for example, we have this notion, for example, that once people retire, they're more likely to become civically engaged, and just be able to have the data collected to be able to say whether or not that's true in East Hampton. And I agree with you, Joey. Maybe this data would never be actually used, but as it stands right now, we don't have the data available. And so I think that if we had more of that available with our volunteer committees within the city, we might eventually be able to use that to just enhance it more. So some of the things that I was thinking about was the person's age, whether or not if we found that most people are, say, age 40 or older that are volunteering for this, I just find it an interesting research question as to whether or not younger people are just not hearing about it. Are they intimidated from being a part of it because they figure they're too young? But I wouldn't be able to ask those types of questions unless we have that information to start seeing some of those trends.
I could see that have to be very carefully worded because if somebody's applying for the job, even we're asking how old they are.
Well, those on a job application, you already know, like those questions are not to be asked.
Yeah.
And this, although it's not paying, does it run by the same rules?
Is it-
I would be uncomfortable
Yeah,
on
isn't it
my
violated?
application,
Right.
but I know where Tamara's going. Maybe those could be questions a lot of times if you look at the information they supply you, it kind of
In the
comes out of
residence.
it.
Yeah.
And a lot of
But I
it
don't
is-
think you can really, like privacy,
Yeah.
people, things like about their,
Yeah.
but maybe a survey at the boards and committee level?
Yeah, that's
You
what
know
I
what I
was
mean?
thinking. Just a volunteer survey to each board and committee, so
No.
kind of saying,
No name.
no name, just
Right.
saying
You know?
what brought this committee or whatever to your attention.
But it says
What
on-
was, generalized, that might be a way to glean some really good information and some data.
Right, if it's, because the application itself says, please attach a letter stating your reason and or qualifications for seeking an appointment. So, do you have a reason, or how are you qualified? I think anything else, we'd have to really be.
But I think some of it is also data that you could find out. And I guess that's also the question, would that be, for example, is a homeowner more or less likely to be on a board or committee than a renter? There's an assumption that homeowners are going to feel more vested in the community, but I don't know that that's true for East Hampton. We have a lot of renters who are actually really vested within the community, civic engagement. So from that perspective, I was thinking about that. I was thinking about whether or not people were registered voters and volunteering at the city. Like, do those two things go hand in hand? Or do we have a lot of volunteers that actually are not registered voters? And I think a lot of this could be, if you look at that green booklet of the list of residents that actually is available to us, and
The city streets.
That's from the census.
So my next question would be, would that be considered invasive if we took the information that we had here and then linked it with the other information we had to come up with those types of demographic comparisons? Theoretically speaking, not saying I'm going to go out and do this as a big research project, but if I wanted to,
That's public knowledge.
would that
It's in the public.
Yeah, you just
Okay.
Yep.
you could look up each volunteer name in the book and it's in the census that what their jobs and professions are, even their
Even their age.
birthday.
I was gonna say,
I
Even
know.
their age. Except the ones that have the fake zeros. But
Yeah.
no, most
No,
of them
it's-
are accurate.
Yeah, no,
Your
this is-
birthday and your...
Barbara's very.
They don't call it the nosy book for nothing.
Yeah.
That's what they mean.
I know. That's what my mother always called it. That's what I call it. It's awful. I know, but yeah.
I call it the street listing
The
book.
street listing
what I
book.
call it.
I know my mother always calls it the nosy
Yep,
book.
that's what
Hilarious.
I heard that in the hallway. It made me laugh.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would be knowing that I would like the opportunity to maybe look to see what I could link there, and just because I'm just curious about it, it's just a nerdy profession thing for me. I just would really like to do it. I
She
know
likes
it's a lot more
data.
interesting to me than,
She likes to collect data.
Yeah.
but
The other thing too, I guess when I think I like the idea of maybe surveys to pre-existing boards and committees, asking them, even where do you think we would find more people who might like that? They might have something we never thought of. But, I don't want to put anything on the application that will make someone say, that's too much.
I
Right.
would appreciate that too.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah, you're right. Some people are like, yeah.
They'll
Why
say,
do you ask me
"How many
all these
pages is this?"
questions?
Okay, I can do one.
Okay, so
But yeah, I think those are great, interesting thoughts. But I like your idea of linking. Oh God, I don't know how we're going to link that. I don't think we have the computer data system like you might have at Westfield.
let me say I have it.
Okay.
But I guess then the only change I would really ask to be considered at this point would be how you hear about it, how you heard about the
This
opening.
vacancy.
Well, that's a good one.
Yeah,
Or, how did you
definitely,
hear? How did you learn?
Yeah.
How did you learn about the vacancy, about this particular vacancy?
Yeah.
Something to that effect?
Yeah.
I don't know if this is sort of related. We're talking about, as for these boards and committees, a little bit idea of their mission statement or what they do. That might be a letter we could send out to department heads and then just let them know what we're doing. And in order to increase, possible volunteer opportunities, would you mind, putting together a paragraph, short, maybe we can even say how many words, on what your mission is. And since they do it, I think they're better to put it together than us, but we can obviously accumulate it.
The department heads or the chair?
Chair of the committee.
Okay.
We did send that out.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. I think there might be probably half that have something on there, but
we could always check to see which
But we did send out to all the boards and committees. It'd be extremely helpful, if, so that we could, compile that and get it on the website where, under that board or committee, so people might have a little knowledge of, what could be as simple as their mission statement or just a.
And then the last thing that we have on our agenda for tonight is the working on the description of duties and the role of the appointment subcommittee.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know if we have anything already informally in writing.
Think so.
I don't think so. I really don't. I've been here since the beginning, so I don't think that we ever really formally put together a.
Maybe what we could do for the next meeting, all three of us, or at least Joy and I, let's write what we think we do. We can compare and say, oh, I forgot that part, or that's good too, or whatever. We can come up with a.
Yeah, we can each write something up and then send it to each other and compare it and then meld the two. Send them to you and you can meld the two of them together.
Oh, I'd be happy to do that. Okay.
We could do that, yeah.
All right.
Okay. Homework.
Yeah.
So, for the full committee meeting today, when I would just like to say that we're going to be coming up with a description of the duties and roles by your next meeting. Does any official action need to be taken on that? Do I even need to give that level of detail, or that we're continuing to work on it?
Yeah, you continue to work on it. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't put a timetable on it because you don't want to pigeonhole yourself in. It may.
Okay.
It may take a meeting or two for all of us to put it together. It may not.
Right.
So it's always kind of good to leave it. I mean, it's nothing pressing. It's not anything that needs to be done yesterday. It's going forward. It's really great. I mean, so
I won't have to ask for an extension on it or anything.
No, the only time you have to ask for an extension is something's on your agenda, and it's coming up as past due, which is very. The only thing we have on your appointments agenda is you see that there's block letters, bold letters on your agenda.
Yeah.
It says 4-5-16. For tonight's agenda.
Oh, for tonight's, yeah.
For tonight's agenda, it'll say appointment, mayoral appointments for 1/16/16, which is when it was received. And then in parentheses, there's another date. So that's the date that would need extensions.
Okay.
And normally in appointments, because we have to move on them rather quickly because of the charter and the rules that are attached to the appointments, very rarely will you ever find yourself going over that date or asking for an extension. I've never in appointments have had to ask for an extension.
Okay.
Not like rules or government relations or typically you would find that in
Ordinance.
Finance or ordinance. Things that take a long time, need public hearings, need to be really vetted out.
I should run up so we
Motion to close the meeting?
Move that we close the meeting.
Okay, I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
No extension? No, so let's go.
Okay.